When the CX-30 originally launched, it became an instant hit. Even though there were some pretty obvious drawbacks, owners started complaining about pretty much right away. A few years later, Mazda is ready to respond by improving most of these critical aspects and making this subcompact even better than before. Stay with us and see how the 2026 Mazda CX-30 solves every owner complaint and puts competitors in checkmate. Owner feedback drives major upgrades. The CX-30 has been a pretty successful model for Mazda since its introduction, with sales growing steadily year after year. Customers have praised its stylish design, premium-feeling interior, and engaging driving dynamics. But despite the popularity, certain complaints kept coming up in owner forums and reviews, and that's why the Japanese automaker is preparing these crucial updates. The officials are still quiet on some details, but information is leaked from reliable sources. Combine that with insight from industry experts, and it's quite easy to get a picture of how the 2026 Mazda CX-30 will solve virtually every owner complaint. For now, the most talked about upgrades focus on addressing the four main areas of criticism: ride harshness, limited rear space, outdated tech, and fuel economy. Considering that the current model has been around for about 5 years, these updates come at the perfect time. In any case, the 2026 Mazda CX-30 is bringing solutions that owners have been begging for. Of course, considering its popularity, Mazda won't be changing the overall shape or proportions. This will still be a small crossover focused on a sporty ride rather than utility, but it will fix the pain points while making the design even more refined, as the famous Kodo design language evolves to its next iteration. Suspension upgrade. As mentioned, the CX-30 is much more about style and performance than comfort. It's agile and precise in corners with minimal body roll. But this also means it's not particularly comfortable, mostly because of the rear suspension setup. Namely, Mazda managed to design such an engaging chassis with pretty simple technical solutions, including the solid rear axle. In that way, the sporty ride is guaranteed, but still, it's not the most effective way of road bump absorption. A higher level of comfort is achievable without sacrificing sportiness, and for that, Mazda is about to install a more complex suspension setup: red multi-link independent rear suspension. Yes, that will raise the cost a bit, but on the other hand, the benefits will be significant. This will make the CX-30 crossover way more versatile and way more attractive to a wider range of buyers. Because with such a suspension setup, the new CX-30 will finally be able to absorb road imperfections with style, without the need to sacrifice athleticism even for a bit. For now, it's unclear whether the upgraded suspension will come as a standard feature or as an option in upper trims. In any case, in combination with Mazda's well-known G-Vectoring Control Plus, it will make a significant impact on the overall ride quality. As for the rest of the chassis, we don't expect bigger changes, just fine-tuning, both in terms of the front suspension and steering, which is already super precise. As for exterior dimensions, they will probably remain the same or very similar. For reference, the outgoing model features a 104.5-inch wheelbase, while the total length goes up to 173 inches, which are typical proportions for the subcompact crossover segment. Interior space, solving the rear seat squeeze. One of the biggest complaints from CX-30 owners has been the tight rear seating area. Despite the beautiful cabin design and premium materials, passengers in the back often feel cramped during longer journeys. For 2026, Mazda engineers have performed a packaging miracle, creating more rear passenger space without increasing the vehicle's external dimensions. Through clever redesign of the rear seat structure and reshaping of the front seat backs, Mazda has managed to extract nearly 2 additional inches of effective legroom for rear passengers. The floor has been slightly reconfigured as well, creating more foot space under the front seats. These subtle but significant changes transform the rear seat experience from cramped to comfortable, especially for adult passengers. The cargo area has also received attention with a slightly wider opening and more thoughtful organization. While the total cargo volume remains similar at around 20 cubic feet behind the second row and 45 cubic feet with seats unfolded, the usability of that space has been improved with a new adjustable floor system and additional storage compartments. These practical improvements directly address owner criticism while maintaining the CX-30's compact footprint. Tech upgrade, modern interface, better connectivity. The current CX-30's infotainment system, while functional, has received criticism for its dated interface and sometimes frustrating control scheme. For 2026, Mazda is leapfrogging the competition with a completely redesigned tech interface that combines touchscreen functionality with improved physical controls. The 2026 model introduces a stunning curved display panel that integrates both the digital instrument cluster and an expanded infotainment screen. This premium-looking setup not only modernizes the interior appearance, but also improves usability significantly. The system now supports touch inputs when the vehicle is stationary or moving slowly, while containing the rotary controller for safer operation while driving. Wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are now standard across all trims, and the overall system response is noticeably faster thanks to a new processor. Mazda has also upgraded the voice recognition system to understand natural language commands more effectively. The outdated graphics have been completely refreshed with a cleaner, more intuitive menu structure that requires fewer steps to access common functions. These improvements transform what was once a weakness into one of the CX-30's strongest features. Powertrain. All that refined ride quality and improved interior wouldn't mean much without an adequate powertrain. And if you look at the current lineup, things are already impressive. The base engine is a 2.5-liter inline-4 with 191 horsepower and 186 pound-per-foot of torque. And if that doesn't sound impressive to you, just keep in mind that many of its classmates need over 10 seconds to hit 60. This one, on the other hand, needs about 8.5 seconds, which is great, but things get really serious with the optional Turbo 4. 250 horsepower and 320 pound-per-foot of torque in a subcompact crossover? It's clear that this turbocharged engine turns the CX-30 into a small rocket that can hit 60 in about 5.5 seconds, making it quicker than many hot hatches available on the current market, including the Golf GTI. With all that in mind, it's clear why Mazda isn't in a hurry to replace these engines. These two will carry on for some more time, most likely for another year or two. So the new 2026 Mazda CX-30 will offer the same or similar level of performance. The big changes are expected in about 2 years, when the new generation of gasoline engines is about to be ready. That one will be called the Skyactiv Z, and compared to the current Skyactiv G engines, it will bring one substantial difference: the so-called Lambda 1 combustion method, which means it will have an ideal air-to-fuel ratio. There will be no excess air when burning gasoline, and therefore, there will be more power, along with better fuel efficiency. For now, details are still unavailable, but we presume that both naturally aspirated and turbocharged units are coming. Hybrid powertrain on the way? But that's not all about powertrain updates. Besides the new gas-only units, the CX-30 will also come electrified. That's right, hybrid versions are in development too to improve efficiency and meet the latest emission standards. The officials still keep details a secret, but we see two possible scenarios in the case of this subcompact crossover. One is to take the same path as the CX-50, which has just got Toyota's well-known hybrid system, based on a 2.5-liter inline-4 Atkinson cycle engine, coupled with 2 electric motors, for a total output of 219 horsepower. That would be a perfect fit for a small crossover like the CX-30, in the way that it would be quick and incredibly efficient, with the average MPG ratings going over 40 miles per gallon combined. Still, there is a small problem called CVT gearbox, which is great in terms of fuel efficiency, but not exactly the most engaging choice for a crossover that tends to be sporty and athletic. That's why most experts suggest a different kind of hybrid powertrain. Mazda is already working on it, and it's expected to be ready for the next generation CX-5. It will be the first in-house developed self-charging hybrid system. Details are still unavailable, while some reports go so far as they suggest a rotary engine as its basis. We are not sure about that, but it's pretty clear that Mazda needs a system that's not just efficient and great in terms of emissions, but also has enough power and strong driving dynamics. That would also include a more conventional gearbox, most likely a classic automatic with a torque converter. Release date and price. The new 2026 Mazda CX-30 is in the works, and we expect to see it on the market later this year. In terms of price, the aforementioned upgrades might make it slightly more expensive, but not by much. We still expect it to remain in the mainstream territory despite all those premium-like improvements. The outgoing model starts at around $25,000, and we don't expect to see a significant increase for the next year. But the CX-30 isn't the only model in the class that's stepping up its game. Check out this video about the 2026 Subaru Crosstrek Hybrid and all the amazing features it brings, which you can see on the screen now. The subcompact crossover segment is getting hotter than ever. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.